Here's Bruce Garrioch from Post Media. Last time we chatted with him, we talked about Vladimir Tarasenko. That was exciting. This might be even more exciting depending on which Sens fan you talk to, Bruce. 8 years and an $8 million AAV for Jake Sanderson. For some Sens fans, that's too much after just one good season. For others, it seems they think that maybe in as little as 2 years, that might turn out to be a bargain. Where do you fall on this? What do you think of the deal?
Well, I think it's a good deal, not only for Jake Sanderson, but also for the Ottawa Senators. I think if you look at Jake Sanderson down the road and the potential that he showed as a first-year player in the National Hockey League, he's going to be an excellent defenseman. He's going to be the number one defenseman for this team at some point. I really think we're going to get into a situation here where he will bypass Thomas Chabot as the club's top defenseman, and Jake Sanderson will be playing in all those difficult situations and taking some of that ice time from Thomas Chabot. I think the Ottawa Senators coming into this offseason, Jay, looked at this and said, what's one priority? The priority is not to have to go through a negotiation with Jake Sanderson as a restricted free agent this next summer. Get it done this summer, get him locked up and move on. And now he's part of the core. And I think both sides feel really good about this. And you've got to give incoming owner Michael Andlauer some credit, because he would have had to sign off on this deal because it doesn't kick in until 2024-25, and obviously he sees the potential in Jake Sanderson as well.
I was going to ask you about Andlauer because we are just days away from him officially taking over as owner of this franchise. And do you feel like Andlauer and Pierre Dorian are very much aligned in the idea that they want to lock up? They've got 5 players now around an $8 million AAV. So they've really got this core locked up. It seems like Andlauer's on board with Dorian's vision.
Well, and think about it. This is basically how the rebuild started. They tied up. They signed Thomas Chabot. Then they signed Brady Tkachuk. Signed Josh Norris. They signed Tim Stützle last year before the season started. Now they've got Jake Sanderson here. I think they feel really good about these guys. But you know what? Now it's time for them to go out and produce. Michael Andlauer's coming in here, and he wants this team to make the next step. They've missed the playoffs 6 straight years. They've got to make the playoffs this spring. That has to be the goal for this group. I think that Pierre Dorian has gambled his future on these guys, and I think he feels good about them because I feel like these guys are a group they can build around.
Bruce, I want to talk about Shane Pinto. He's a player that a lot of guys here at the network, a lot of hockey analysts, a lot of former players really love on this Sens team. But he's a restricted free agent, and Dorian is yet to get him under contract. Any update there?
Well, I was texting with Cheryl Pounder about this today, Jay, and I was saying to her that I think there's a very large gap to bridge if this deal is going to get done. One of the things about Shane Pinto is he's represented by the same agent, Louis Gross, as Rasmus Sandin was with the Toronto Maple Leafs last year. And don't forget, Sandin had to urge his agent to call the Leafs to get a deal done. I think there's a short-term deal there to be made between Shane Pinto and the Senators, and I think that may, in the end, be the result of what happens, because he absolutely has to be at training camp. They need him for that center depth they want to have this year with Stützle and Norris.
Just a few weeks until the Sens play their first preseason game. That'll be September the 24th against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hopefully we get to talk to Bruce Garrioch 6 or 7 times between now and then. Buddy, great to chat with you. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.